In previous videos, we have seen the tactics used by the GOP to choose their voters with gerrymandering and to prevent legitimate voters from casting a ballot using various methods. However, in order to maintain the coup, the GOP needs a judicial branch that is friendly to their schemes. Donald Trump has questioned why Barack Obama left so many open vacancies at the end of his term. In all, 88 district court and 17 court of appeals vacancies were inherited by the Trump administration. Whether Donald Trump is that uninformed, or he is just trying to pretend that we all can't see what's going on, the fact is that the GOP obstruction during the final 2 years of the Obama presidency was unprecedented. We are all aware of how Merrick Garland was prevented from filling the vacancy left by Justice Scalia when he passed away. However, what doesn't get as much airplay is the amount of seats that Barack Obama was unable to fill at the district and appellate levels of the court. According to the Brookings Institute, the GOP-controlled Senate only confirmed 2 judges at the Court of Appeals level and 18 at the district court level. These totals are much less than the totals confirmed by the previous 4 presidents who served 8 terms. Turnover in the courts is a regular thing, and presidents often get to name a wide variety of judges to the federal courts. Presidents Reagan, Clinton, and George W. Bush named 22% of their judges in their last 2 years. President Obama only got to name 6%. Today, a lot of the talk is about the potential of Democrats to pack the court. What the GOP has done is stack the court in their favor. The groundwork is now being set up to enable the courts to push the coup forward. In the Democratic National Committee versus Wisconsin State Legislature ruling, the court ruled that votes mailed before Election Day but not received by Election Day could not be counted, despite a lower federal court stating that they could be accepted. Most of Kavanaugh's opinion does seem to make sense. The power to change election rules belongs to state legislatures, not the courts. However, his wording is suspect. He states, counting all votes quickly can help the state promptly resolve disputes, and that late-arriving ballots might destabilize the election result. This concerns many readers that Kavanaugh and the rest of the court might use these arguments to stop counting. President Trump has already threatened to use lawyers to stop the counting of ballots. More on that in a second. In another ruling, the court was split 4-4 on Pennsylvania allowing absentee ballots to be received after Election Day and to be counted. Both states, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, typically require votes to be received by Election Day. However, the ruling that was challenged in PA was not one of a federal court, but of a state Supreme Court. That could be why Chief Justice Roberts decided to side with the liberal branch of the Supreme Court on this issue. No written arguments were released to explain the 4-4 split. However, because a 4-4 ruling sets no precedent, the decision could be revisited once Justice Barrett is seated if the case is indeed reheard. The kicker here is that we already have examples where post office delays are happening in Democratic areas. Louis DeJoy, the head of the post office, is a wealthy Republican, a Trump donor, and someone who has no experience in the post office with the exception of maybe mailing his own personal letters. It has been shown that under his leadership, there have been massive post office delays, especially in blue areas. According to CNN, some battleground states have moved less than 90% of the mail on time. In Colorado, a significant state in the 2020 elections that will determine control of the Senate, only 43% of the mail was on time this past Saturday. 62% of central Pennsylvania ballots and 54% of Atlanta ballots moved on time on Saturday. Atlanta, of course, is a major Democratic stronghold in Georgia, a state many consider to be in play for Biden and that has 2 Senate seats up for grabs. Democrats are more likely to vote by mail, and any issues with the mailing of ballots will disproportionately impact Democratic voters. DeJoy only took office this year, and he immediately took steps to slow down the mail, which drew much criticism from the congressional Democrats. If DeJoy is specifically targeting Democratic areas to slow down the mail, and the conservative wing of the Supreme Court rejects late mail-in ballots, how can this be viewed as anything but a coup? Donald Trump has even stated that he is already planning to send lawyers into areas after Election Day to stop counting votes.
I think it's a terrible thing when ballots can be collected after an election. I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over, because it can only lead to one thing, and that's very bad. You know what that thing is. I think it's a very dangerous, terrible thing. And I think it's terrible when we can't know the results of an election the night of the election in a modern day age of computer. I think it's a terrible thing. And I happen to think it was a terrible decision for our country made by the Supreme Court. I think it was a terrible decision for our country. And I think it's a very dangerous decision, because you're going to have one or two or three states, depending on how it ends up, where they're tabulating ballots, and the rest of the world is waiting to find out. And I think there's great danger to it, and I think a lot of fraud and misuse can take place.
Of course, this is a bunch of malarkey. The Constitution requires that electors meet on the Monday after the second Wednesday in December to choose the president. The U.S. Code sets a so-called safe harbor deadline of December 8th so that results can be known. States have over a month to count any ballot legally cast by Election Day. All legally cast ballots should be counted. Any attempt by Donald Trump or his supporters to not count legally cast ballots should be seen for what it is, what this video series has tried to expose: the continuation of a power grab by a minority party in its waning days. In short, it is a coup. And the only way to stop this coup is to come out on Election Day with such a high turnout that there is no way that anyone can justify the theft of the election.